Hello, this is Packy Campbell from Bright Spot Solar. I just wanted to do a quick video on solar cost, solar depreciation, solar tax credits. The first thing I'd really like to say up front is this isn't a solar ad where we're going to say you're going to get free solar. Solar is not free. It costs money. You have to pay a solar company to install it. You need to have either cash to do that or a solar loan in place to pay the solar company to perform the service. After the system's installed, there are what they call a ITC credit or an investment tax credit. And that tax credit is a dollar for dollar credit off of your tax bill. So if you have a $10,000 tax bill and you get a $10,000 tax credit, you can offset that $10,000 bill. But you need to have that bill to capitalize on that ITC. So the investment tax credit can be carried forward for 20 years. So how quickly you could use a 30% solar tax credit depends on how much you pay in taxes. So obviously larger taxpayers have an advantage in that, because if you're able to, buy a system and it's, an $80,000 solar investment, you're going to get a $24,000 investment tax credit. If you paid $24,000 in taxes last year, you can reach back 1 year and literally get that check back from them. One of the first projects I did was on a shopping center in Rochester, and the investment tax credit was $70,000, and I was able to reach back to the prior year and get a check refund for the whole $70,000. So that's real cash. That's been around for a long, long time. The other way where solar can be offset through your tax attributes, I'll call them, is through depreciation. So if you own a business or you understand what depreciation is, even if it's just a small business or you put it in the name of an LLC, if you essentially, because our technology at BrightSpot, all we do is dual axis trackers, and all we do is typically solar installations that produce more power than what your house or business is doing. We design it to overpower your system to get rid of demand charges. A typical bill is about supply and demand on the commercial side. And this is the first solar technology that can really have a significant impact on the demand side of your power bill, which makes the ROI and the payback a lot quicker. But what depreciation is, and a lot of homeowners never get depreciation in a residential job. But here in New Hampshire, if you install a tracker and you're producing more power than you need for your house, you can get a check quarterly for that surplus net building credit at the default rate. And the minute you make $600, now you're in the solar power business. You're self-employed, you're a solar power producer, you're a customer generator. That means that you can depreciate the tracker. That means that if you're in a 30% tax bracket, that's another 30% that you can write off. So if your depreciation is, I'm going to say 80 grand, but basically the IRS tax rules, just so you understand it, a little bit complicated. You can only depreciate 85 cents on the dollar because you can't depreciate 30% of the ITC credit. So that depreciation times whatever your tax bracket is could be another 30%, so another 24 grand. So basically, after tax attributes, your real cost of an $80,000 solar system, whether it's roof mount, ground mount, or a dual axis tracker. Again, we do just dual axis trackers because they make more power, they're more efficient, they're not on your roof, they don't need a fence, they don't need optimizers, they don't need microcomputers, they're very robust, very good systems. So that tax attributes may be as low as $36,000. So essentially, about 40 cents on the dollar that you spend is what it's really going to cost you. About 60% of that is tax attributes. If you're a small business in New Hampshire, you could actually get a rural farm. You got to be in a certain geographic area. So it's not for everybody, but there are rural development grants that are available, and they can be as high as 50%. We have gotten a lot of those, and we have relationships with people that we would refer you to. Primarily my wife, who's a bookkeeper. I say, please help these people get this application done, and for a fee, she will do that with you and show you the process to get a grant. But if you get a USDA grant and you're a small business owner and you're doing a solar system, it can be as high as 50% of the job. So yes, that means that technically after your tax attributes and after your grant, it's $0 at the end. but you need to pay the dollars up front, get your solar tax credit, get your depreciation, then they give you your grant after it's built. So nothing is free. I want to be clear on that. But there are programs out there that give you revenues and reimbursement so you can get back to zero. Here in the state of New Hampshire, there's a rebate of up to $10,000 for a commercial solar project, essentially 20 cents a kilowatt, maxes out at 10 grand. So if you're doing a large enough system, essentially 2 trackers, you're going to get about $8,800. Anything more than that, you're going to get the full 10 grand. So you can get a 10 grand grant. That's a check. It's a grant. It would be income and taxable. A USDA federal grant could be up to 50%. Is a check. It's income. It's taxable. But between the ITC, the depreciation value, grants, and a USDA grant, you could be at zero for your solar system. So if you own a commercial small business, a shopping center, a car wash, a mini storage facility, a dentist, doctor's office, a fast food restaurant, I'm a small business owner myself. I got into this because I owned a lot of car washes. I put solar in all my car washes. I found this technology. I really came up with a system over the last 4 years of how to install it efficiently and properly, and designed it. Got my own panel designed. I got inverters that work well with those panels. I got panels that are specifically designed for the tracker. They need to have a big reveal so you can put 2 large bolts on it. They need to have bifacial so they maximize everything. So it's a very powerful system. So when you look at getting back to zero, then your payback period is obviously zero. If you don't get a USDA grant, then your payback period could be 4 years. If you aren't eligible for depreciation because it's a residential job and you can't take depreciation, then it's probably a payback period of about 8 years. So all of that stuff combined, you can then have revenue for a very extended period of time. Here at Bright Spot Solar, we'd love to send you a sample fill-in-the-blank contract. If you email us, just say, hey, can I have a quote for a 24-panel tracker? It is literally a one-size-fits-all. So it's not a matter of we don't have to design the system to meet what your power bill is. We basically say, hey, a 24-panel tracker is 18 to 20,000 kilowatts. A 48-panel tracker is 36 to 40,000 kilowatt hours. That's what you're buying. Tell us which system you want, and we'll just quickly email you a quote, and you can decide if it's something you want to do. We send a PV watts estimate of the production based on your address. We then send you a complete ROI package. It's a very good program. It's a very quick thing to do. So call us, and we'll send you a quote, and I'd love to do some business with you. Thank you.